the regular meeting for mayor and council for September 21st is called to order. Councilman Antoine, happy late birthday, sir, but will you do us the honors of doing the invocation for tonight?
I will.
All right, so all those who are able to stand, can you please do so and remain standing throughout the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes. All right, let's bow our heads. Father, we thank you for this day that you have made. We shall rejoice and be glad in it. We thank you, Father, for allowing us to wake up today. I know there's people that didn't have a chance to wake up today. Thank you for allowing us to breathe, to walk, to talk, to even see. There's a lot of people that don't have the opportunity. It's not because we're good, it's because you're great. And we thank you for that, Father. Even people right now that's listening, that are in pain, that are suffering, that are in doubt. Father, we pray that you will let them know that, Father, if you could die for them, there's nothing that you can't do for them. In this meeting, Lord God, thank you in advance that we don't have to ask you to bless this meeting. This meeting is already blessed. Thank you for the wisdom, the understanding, and the guidance that we're about to get today. Thank you for the new employees that's coming in today. Let them know that, Father, that this city is a city that belongs to you, and they're just addition to this team that's all about you, Father. Welcome to the new fire chief of Forest Park. We thank you for him in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, excellent. Roll call, please. Ms. Harris.
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Angeline Butler,
Present.
Councilwoman Kimberly James,
Present.
Councilman Hector Gutierrez,
Oh, yeah.
Councilman DeBose Antoine,
Present.
Councilman Hector Gutierrez,
Present.
Councilman Latresa Akins Wells,
Here.
Councilman Alan Mears.
Present.
Excellent. Now, has everyone had the opportunity to review the minutes for September 9th and August 17th and the budget meeting minutes from June 12th? And are there any changes to be recommended?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we accept the.
Motion is on zero.
Okay, Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we approve each of the minutes. I had sent some recommended changes. So with those recommended changes, I make a motion that we approve all minutes.
All right, there is a motion to approve the minutes with the recommended changes. Is there a second?
Second.
That was seconded by Councilman Mears. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, opposed? All right, that was unanimous. Thank you. City Manager's report. Mr. Barker, you have the floor.
I want to make note, you make that big. You make that bigger.
Oh, bigger, sorry.
Who's that?
We want to note that we host a preliminary meeting beginning with petitions for annual audit for October. Now, with this, we want to address some issues in terms of flipping out the city. We call that Operation Show and Tell. This is gonna help us ensure that we meet everything that you guys need or expect with this particular city. So I'm gonna have Mr. Roberts come up to speak in reference to this particular piece. Mr. Roberts? You don't want to go to this?
Just PowerPoint, okay.
Great. Good evening, everybody. My name is David Roberts. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak before you. I've got a very brief presentation, but if you have questions during, please feel free to stop, and I'd be happy to address anything. So we were requested to put together a scope of services for what I'm referring to as an operational and performance audit. This presentation will give you a little bit more insight in terms of the scope of work, what an operational and performance audit truly does, what its objectives are, and what the goals are. A little bit briefly about myself. I'm with Malden & Jenkins and joined them 7 months ago, where I previously came from KPMG, one of the big four consulting and accounting firms. I currently lead Malden & Jenkins advisory practice and focus specifically on state and local government. I have 20 years experience serving federal, state, and local governments across the country, and have led numerous similar projects focused on operational efficiency and effectiveness and improving customer service for a number of local governments, such as state of Georgia agencies, City of Atlanta, DeKalb County, MARTA, and many others. So based on our understanding in the preliminary meeting that we had, we understand that the city is looking for an objective assessment of all city departments and boards, key services, organization structures, governance, policies and procedures, and service delivery models. What I mean by the term service delivery models is how you are performing your operations and how you're delivering your services to the customers. That can be in a centralized manner, a decentralized manner, a hybrid, use of technology, etc. And then we also understand that a key objective of the assessment is to help further centralize the procurement function. Most leading governments have a centralized procurement function. It's a great opportunity to maximize your spend, ensure you have consistent terms and conditions, and that you're getting the buying power that you should. So for the audit. Really, and there's multiple slides here, but it really provides a clear picture of the city's current state. So you'll hear me use that term a couple times. It's really a snapshot of how you're performing now. And then once we identify and understand your current state, we'll work with the city and leadership to figure out different strategies to improve efficiency and effectiveness and design different models for future implementation. So we're going to look at your operating environment, your operating model, your organizational structure, your key workflow and business processes. And really, in layman's term, we're going to figure out what's working well, what needs to be improved, and what are your key areas for risk. Additional audit objectives include comparing the city's operations to leading practices, identifying areas that are performing well that may be isolated in certain departments that you want to replicate and ensure that you're modeling those good behaviors throughout the entire city. Identifying areas for improvement, providing meaningful recommendations to enhance operations, and finally a strategic roadmap. And what I mean by that is once we have a number of recommendations and we've agreed upon them and helped figure out your strategy, we then lay everything out in a short-term, mid-term, and long-term roadmap so that you can implement the recommendations. Goals include enhancing operations, again, improving efficiency and effectiveness. Another goal is to centralize and optimize the procurement function. Reduce risk and maintain compliance. Strengthen internal controls, policies, procedures, and governance. Increase transparency and accountability. And as always, to enhance customer service. This is a proprietary methodology that we've developed internally. We leverage it for all similar projects where we're focused on transformation, so assessing operations and transforming them. Basically, and there's a whole number of content that goes behind, but I just included one slide. But basically, this formal methodology allows us to hit the ground running. We have a formal process for how we go about conducting interviews, reviewing data. Everything is very methodical. It's not opinion-based, things of that nature, and really requires us to obtain significant data before we make any findings or recommendations. The next slide shows an overview of the work plan that we would do for the audit. It's broken out into 4 key stages, and underneath each stage or chevron lists key activities. I won't go through all of them, but just highlighting, again, we have 4 key stages. One is initiation and planning, and that really ensures that we're on the same page. We understand what your goals are. You understand the resources that we're bringing to the table, and we certainly want to help meet the goals that the city has for this project. So that helps us to further align ourselves. We go and complete different project management tools, such as a project charter and risk register to help guide the process. Information gathering, we're going to do a lot of information that we're going to gather in different ways. We're going to conduct interviews. We'll hold workshops. We will administer an anonymous survey. That can be administered throughout the city to employees. They are confidential. And it helps us glean in terms of culture perceptions, also what may be going well and where there may be areas for improvement. Again, we don't rely on the surveys to make direct recommendations, but we use the information in the survey to help do further field work. We also will request and identify a lot of information from the city in terms of different performance measures, financial information, operational marks, things of that nature. For the fieldwork and data analysis, as I mentioned before, we're going to do the current state assessment, and we're going to look at really all levels of operations, your organizational structure, core functions, satisfaction from a customer and stakeholder perspective, internal controls and compliance, etc. Once we understand your current state, we're going to identify the future vision. So now you understand exactly how you're operating, and it's kind of your baseline, if you will. And now we're going to work with you to identify different models and tailor to your view of how you want to operate for the city into the future. And then we're going to develop certainly meaningful recommendations. I think there are too many consulting firms that just do pie-in-the-sky recommendations and aren't really realistic. That's absolutely not something that we do at all. Our recommendations are absolutely implementable and very detailed to help you implement on your own. There are 3 sets of options that we put together from a pricing model. Option 1, 2, and 3, and they vary in terms of level of detail. So they vary in terms of the estimated hours that we believe it would take to do this initiative, and then also the resulting estimated fees. I'll go through each option in just a second, but all 3 options include all the main goals and objectives that we spoke to. There's just varying degrees of level of fieldwork and analysis and stakeholder reach out that we would perform for each one. And just before I move on to the different pricing options, I just want to say that I think it's great that you're considering this initiative. It's certainly very, very proactive and something that many governments tend to do. I certainly recommend, if you haven't done this before, this is a great exercise. It's something that should be done, at least every 10 years. But also, the timing is right whenever you have significant change in leadership. It's a great way to kind of draw a line in the sand and understand, where the city is, understand your baseline and current state, and help make improvements for the future. Okay, I will move on to the options. So option 1, this is the less detailed option, but certainly we do everything that we said in terms of objectives and scope. So certainly get a detailed report and implementation roadmap. We're going to compare, written workflow to the observed processes. So you may have policies and procedures describing how you're supposed to do something. We actually go in and observe to help ensure that things are happening the way that they're supposed to, identifying the differences. Certainly we'll have recommendations for centralization and procurement for the procurement function. Gap analysis. So what we'll do is we'll identify leading practices for governments in all different areas of operations, and we'll compare that to where the city is currently. And the difference between the two, or the delta, is the gap. And we'll obviously have recommendations to close that gap and to help the city continue to be a leading organization. And then interviews, surveys, and workshops. We'll do that with key city staff. We won't do it with everybody at this hour's estimate, but we'll certainly do it with all department heads, and we'll get representative samples throughout the city. Option 2. So this, again, is a little bit more detailed, so I won't go through every item, but I'll highlight some of the differences. So here in bullet 2, we have mapping written workflow to observe processes. So here we'll actually do process mapping, we'll do flow charts, so that you have user guides and things for the future for your employees, so that they have a documentation and memorialization of how they're supposed to do certain key things. In addition to that, the last bullet, the interviews, surveys, or workshops, we'll actually do that with all city staff. So every personnel will have an opportunity to participate, again, in either an interview, a workshop, or an anonymous survey. And I thought it was great, Councilmember, when you gave the invocation and talked about employees, and certainly the city's greatest asset are your employees, and having everybody having a voice certainly goes a long way with change management and helping everybody to be part of the process. And then option 3 is even more detailed. So really getting into more details around the future state and our recommendations. So if you look at bullet 3 here, we'd actually redesign organizational charts, get into rewriting job duties, not only ensuring that they make sense for what people are doing currently, but also we want to make sure that you have the right skill sets and the right positions to be successful in the future. And then creating governance documents, so really getting into giving you all the tools that you need to instantaneously implement these recommendations. So putting policies and procedures around the centralization of procurement, looking at communications, looking at governance, and how things would flow in a centralized manner. We also have customer service surveys for external city stakeholders. That's something that if the city desires, we're happy to reach out to whether it be citizen groups or other professional associations to get their input and be considered as well. The last slide, I believe, is just my contact information. The 3 pricing models really is just based on certainly my experience, but also certainly what similar organizations would pay for something of this nature. And you can do this type of project in varying level of detail and varying level of degree, and it really depends on what you're looking for to get out of it. I've never, whenever I have a contract, never had a change order that the client didn't request. So not here to give you a low price and then drive it up or anything like that. We are very confident that we can continue to serve the city. Doug Moses, the audit partner here, currently serves the city in the audit capacity, and we'd be honored to do this work for you. I will pause there and see if anybody has any questions.
Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Talking to you, Matt.
Yeah. So, great presentation. I just have just a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
How do you plan that this plan of scope will be different from previous year's scope of the audit?
So for the city specifically,
Yeah.
so we have not done anything, Malden & Jenkins has not done anything of this nature for the city before. We have, historically, we are your financial auditors, and that is a financial audit. This gets into more operations and performance and how the business is run on a daily basis. And to my knowledge, I don't believe the city's had any firm or this type of study done in the past.
Any other questions?
Madam Mayor, my actual question, I guess will be for testing, would be for the city manager, as it relates to this, because some of the things that were outlined in his presentation are some of the things that the task force was to do, and we have yet to receive a reporting of what the task force is doing. For example, the operational improvements needed, the audit of the processes and procedures, and to locate contracts. These are some things that was outlined for the task force, and we haven't received a report on that. So I would be apt to know what we already have uncovered before we move into something different. And also, I would add that we had a wage and compensation study recently. I know that the PD had an audit, internal audit of the police department. We had a forensic audit that was just done. So I'm just trying to wrap my head around another audit, and we don't have all the information
Speaking in reference to the task force. Task force was really designed in reference to the inventory, do with the inventory, and then try to see can they find anything else in those general areas that we may need to take a hard look at. In doing that, we was able to complete our inventory. However, in terms of contracts, we don't know where all the contracts are today. In fact, we're actually looking for contracts right now. Positive procedures. We had a workshop which I was going to go into next. How I do it now. We had a workshop last week to try to turn over everything that the city has to offer in every department. It's called Operation Show and Tell. This is part of that particular piece. I've been in place for roughly 90 days as of right now, and in my discoveries, we've yet to find everything that the city has that may be costing them money. Today we're probably playing blind contract. We're looking into those pieces of the puzzle. This is part of the piece of being transparent. We're not able to go in and do it ourselves, so we actually hired a company to come in to identify what the problem is, what issues we may have, how we go about fixing it, uncovering every rock, so we're able to move forward as a city versus trying to reach back and carry the liabilities of what somebody else has brought to the table. So I don't know if that best answers your question, but in reference to the police audit, that wasn't doing my tenure. Now I'm here. We're talking about moving forward under this particular leadership here. You all owe it to yourself to know what's going on in the city of Forest Park. I think we try to do some cost cutting and try to do it in-house with ourselves. We're not able to get it done. So we need to go outside, reach outside, get an independent, find out what's going on, and so we're able to move forward as a city.
So is there a report that we're going to get? Because we're yet to receive a report of what the task force findings were.
Inventory.
It was just inventory?
Yes, ma'am. That was the base.
What we were
The
told.
base for that task force was two things. One was inventory. We wanted to find out the inventory, find out everything that's going on in the whole city. What do we own? And that was the base of that first initiative of the task force. The second initiative of the task force was to try to deal with the particular communication issues in terms of the city. What do we have a problem with in terms of positive procedures? Do we have that going on? Where are we losing money? Purchasing, surplus, certain surplus.
Can I add this?
Yes.
I mean, in the position that we're in the position that you're in is two different positions, and some of us lack knowledge of that. We are council members, mayors. We're elected officials. Management is like another animal. So when you're talking about you know, how you breaking it down, we might not understand, but I get the point that there's different levels of auditing, right? There's internal audit, there's personnel audit, there's different types of audit. And what you are trying to explain to us is stuff that is necessary to be done, and it's not that everything that's been done doesn't make sense, or it's not supposed to be done. Make sense?
Yes.
So with this audit here, it hasn't been done before.
Correct.
Never. Okay.
Never.
So if I'm a manager at Walmart and I get into a position, there's so many components on coming in and what I would need to find out so you could report to us to know that, look, you know this city up and down. So I
Yeah.
get it. So
The intent for the first 90 days.
because we don't know it, you know, we just part-time coming in once or twice a month, and you're here 24 hours, so you would need that. I mean, that's
Correct.
a no-brainer, right?
Correct. The intent with the first 90 days with the task force is to find out what's going on. What do we have? What can we change? Can we make some changes? Are we able to do it ourselves? We're not able to get it done, people. We're just not able to get it done, right? So maybe we don't have all the information that we need, but we need to find it. My oldest director has been here 3 years. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. He's been here 2 years, right? So we're looking at 2 years, and everybody else is new. So I can't even reach back to that particular director and say, tell me everything that went on before for your tenure. He can't do it. So basically what we got to do now, we got to find a starting point. We attempted to go in and try to find it ourselves. We're not able to do it to your standard because the questions that you've been asking me for, I'm not able to provide it due to the fact that guess what? We can't find it. So if we can't find it, we got to find somebody who can find it. And this is the next step of expansion in order to be transparent to the particular city.
I think in the wording it says a citywide performance and operational audit, just how are we operating from ground zero to 100, like everything, from all of our boards that we have in place, everything that we have in place. And another thing, trying to, I understood your intent with the task force, but realistically, these are employees that have a full-time job already. And another thing is that they know their coworkers, so it's not going to be a truly transparent, full uncovering of everything. I think it's a good way to just measure how everything's going, but if we realistically want to know where we're at, he said they have workflow charts and things like, I'm going to be honest, the first time that we had our budget meeting, I think a lot of stuff has just been preset before us, and we keep moving with it. And realistically, like Councilman Antoine said, we are, part-time people here. I don't know everything about the city. I have trust in you, but you said that the oldest directors that we haven't even been here 2 years. So for us to really understand operationally the surveys, I think that's key. I think we did some surveys. I haven't heard anything about those either. Just to really understand how the culture of our city. I know this is. I'm not gonna lie. The price tag on this is heavy, but to me. But I think it's definitely worth what we're going to get from it because I feel like it's going to be a full understanding of everything in every city function from every level, starting from the bottom to the top, from the boards that we have to every director to every, and the structure that we have, the organizational structure. I think at times people here, just because in the past it's been done a certain way, certain directors or certain people think that they have those certain job titles. I think with the expertise of this company, from what it seems like, I would really like to see maybe some references or some past work that you've done, Mr. Roberts, just to, and I know, you're not lying about your experience, but just to see what their experience was with something like this, just because of this price tag. I think this is something that we need. It hasn't been done. Ideally, companies don't have the luxury to do something like this with this expense, but for the amount of transition that we had, if we really want to move forward as a city, because realistically, if you look at our city, we are stuck in time. We're doing a lot of good things, but progress has jumped over Forest Park. I don't know why, I just got here, but you can tell. If you go to Morrow down the road, if you go to Lake City down the road, if you go to McDonough, all these other cities, we're the nearest city to Atlanta, and everything just boop, hopped over us. So why did it happen? I would love to know what, how we started or what we have with something like this. It seems very detailed. I don't know, what package we would get, but I would love something like this done. If it's, with this company or whoever it is, these people have done our financial audits. It seems like we worked with them in the past. I don't know, that's just my 2 cents. I would love to have a report like this done by an outside organization that is not gonna be biased in any findings. They're just gonna present what they see, give us recommendations of what we need to do. What are the effects if we don't make those changes? I don't know, I support this.
And thank you very much. And adding to what you just said, we owe it to the public. We owe it to the public to be able to be transparent in everything we do. I get questions from you all every day. What's going on with this report? What's going on with this? I need this, I need that. As if I'm hiding something. I'm here to ensure that you guys get transparency, right? This is the next step towards that. In order to know where we're going, we gotta have a starting point, right? And so, this juncture, I would truly tell you that we don't have a starting point that you, myself, and all the directors here know where it starts in reference to everything that applies to the city. And at that juncture, we're liable to the public to be able to produce that information for them. How we go about doing that is to start and invest the money in order to find out what's going on, then we move forward. 90 days. In my 90 days assessment, this is what we need. If not, then we just spinning our wheels. And we're doing a disservice to the public.
Let me make a couple more comments and then I'm done. Are we gonna get a report from what the task force have done?
No problem. You need a report, you get a report. That's not an issue. That's not an issue.
That's been said many times, but we're sitting on maybe a couple of months later, and
I
we
thought
still don't have.
Darquita gave us a report. Last time, Darquita, didn't she go up there and say, I'm reporting on the task force findings?
Yeah, I mean,
Yes, she
it's in
did,
your
sir.
minutes. It's in your minutes.
Yeah.
It says that we were gonna be getting something handwritten. Is that what
Yeah.
we're handwritten?
Okay, cool.
Councilwoman, you asked for something. I don't know exactly what you're asking for, what you're looking for.
I'm asking what you say you were gonna deliver. That's
What I'm delivering to you, you want an inventory? You want an
No,
inventory?
I don't
of,
want an inventory, no, what was said, let me just.
The findings,
Just read what was said in the comments, in the minutes that we just approved.
Are we done
Councilwoman,
with Mr.
the
Roberts?
findings that you asking for,
Yes, sir.
is an inventory.
What does that mean?
The inventory of everything that we own in the particular city, in every particular department. That's what you want to do, that's what you're looking for. Because I need that, and here's why.
So you're saying you're
Let
gonna
me
give me a
share with you.
paper that shows
Let me-
inventory, is that
let
what
me-
you're trying to say?
Let me share with you. The reason why we need that inventory is to be able to take that and balance it against what we're paying out, what we bought, what we got in surplus, in order to find every nickel and dime and quarter that the city has to offer. Now, that don't sound like a lot, but to the public, one nickel means a lot. So that gives us our initial movement to be able to find that. So that's.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts.
Thank you.
So that's what the task force was set up for. That and let us know, give us a snapshot of what's going on in the city, right? So we'll be able to move to the general areas that we need to deal with. And that's what we're doing now. So if you want something wrote down saying exactly what I just said, Chief, can you prepare that for us? Thank you very much.
Okay, let me move on to my second comment that I was gonna say. You mentioned the 90 days in, the wage and compensation report or study that we just had. We paid a lot of money for that, and that was citywide to find out about every position that's held by the city and what the responsibilities of each employee is. And they conducted interviews for, I don't know if my mic is on, they conducted interviews for, with each employee to see what their task is. And that's how the wage and compensation study was come about, and that's how we were able to see that we needed to do an increase in salary for our employees across the board, citywide. Have you had an opportunity to review that to see what their findings were?
In their particular findings, what, you correct me if I'm wrong, in their findings, they tell you what our ranges are. What our range is, what Chief should make coming into the fold. What does she make? What is his range? That's what that says.
No, it says more than that.
Yeah, of course it says more than that, but I'm speaking about that's what it gives. So I'm trying to find out for you. Yes, I've looked at that particular wage study. Are you speaking in reference to me hiring someone and
No,
paying them?
I'm not speaking of that at all. I'm speaking of the citywide performance and operational audit that you're wanting us to approve. And the performance, and I see you spoke up, maybe you can speak to that.
No, let me say it. What I'm asking for in terms of this particular item, I'm asking for not a snapshot. I want to reveal every dime that this city is dealing with. Every area that we're not operating by law. We want to make sure that we're in line with what this federal money is supposed to be dealing with. Any particular money we're talking about bringing in, this taxpayer money that's coming in here, we want to make sure we're in line and we're governing it properly. That's what I'm asking in this particular item. If that's the case right now, I would say we're doing it right now to the best of our ability with stuff that we got on the ground that we know what's going on. However, the stuff that we don't know what's going on, that's what this item will uncover. And at that particular juncture, you all will be able to have that in your hand. You know what's going on within the city, and you'll be able to govern from your level, and we'll be able to govern, or we'll be able to operate at our level.
It also tells us what's working, what isn't, what needs improvement, what are some area potentials, risk areas also.
Correct. And culture.
Well, I was under the impression with all the new employees that we hired to give you these task force was gonna do that, or help you to do that problem.
Who did we hire? Hold on, I just want to know.
This is great.
So what are we gonna do with them now? If these people do their job, then they're not helping you with your job, so we're top heavy.
Who did we hire?
Well, here's what we did. We've hired people to come in who can perform this task at the level that you need them to perform it to take care of our particular public. Make sure that we are doing the things right for our particular public. Now, we had a Mr. Jesus. Mr. Jesus, the procurement officer. He's tasked with trying to make sure he procure the necessary contracts to what you guys want to stand. Also, purchasing. He's tasked with dealing with the purchasing of the city. He's also tasked with the selling of surplus for the city. He's needed. This city was operating without one. So if it was operating without one, we need one to do the checks and balances that Ms. Jane would be asking for. So we need that. Now, am I able to do that right here at my level? No. I need somebody. And he's the particular person for the job. He's came from a reputable background, and he's working hard in that general area, as well as anybody else that we bring to the table. We have we got a chief right here. Let's use this chief. We got this chief right here who operated our police department. In our police department, we actually saw fit to move him up to be the deputy city manager who operated right before me at the entrance. Deputy city manager and public safety director. The man is outstanding. You all said it yourself. He's outstanding. So we was able to move him up to this particular position to help with this move. So did we get chiefs for less? No disrespect, chief. We was able to hire the best for less. So he's already inside. We got him now. We also just went and got another fire chief, right? That we all work so diligently to bring on board, due to the fact that we have one or two other people that we wanted to come in, the police chief, fire chief. We was able to go get the best. I don't want to say for less, but we were the best for last. We got to get somebody to come in here, guess what, to ensure to take Forest Park to the next level in terms of fire department. And so that's what we're doing. If we can't bring these people from the inside that can get it done, we're going out there, we're getting the best, and we're bringing them in to perform the tasks that you need to take this city forward.
Like I was saying before, unless you have experience in management and experience in leadership, leading department, it's gonna be a foreign language. So what you're explaining to us, this looks like foreign, but I get it.
And so I think where Councilwoman James and maybe Councilman Mears were coming from is that when the idea of the task force first came up, it was pretty exciting. But after the task force began their work, then their work concluded, we were not, whatever the findings were, we weren't provided with anything. And so it's just getting something that says we found X, Y, and Z, I think is, and I may be speaking out of turn here, maybe part of what they're trying to say, using the task force as an example. But I would like to know, and this may be a question for Ken. Is Ken on? If the governing body were to approve this, naturally we would have to determine an option, but where is the, what line item is this coming from, and how does that line item currently look?
I just told him to talk. Wait, Chris, stop. Can you hear me? There is one.
Well, when we do get him on, we'll just have him come back and answer that question. Are there any other questions or comments?
I had a question. I thought that Aquita, I don't know if I'm crazy, that she presented on it. Did she not say these are the findings of the task force?
She did. And she did say that. I think Councilwoman may want something in writing.
Like a presentation?
No,
Let me see
it
somebody
was,
can see it.
and I'm trying to find it in the minutes, because it's in the minutes that we just approved. She gave a preliminary findings of what the task force, she highlighted some of the things that the task force worked on and found, and said that we would get a report on those things. And we don't have that report.
So just get the report from the task force,
It's not.
please.
Great. No problem, we sure you do that. Are there any more questions?
Well, that was, the mayor brought up a good point, me being the miser. Where's the money coming from to do this survey? Do we take it, where do we take it? Are we budgeted for it? Are we moving money around? Where are we getting, just say we went with the top package to get a full picture of the whole thing. I mean, where you gonna get $200,000?
I mean, this is COVID related. COVID has affected our culture. I think we can clearly put it exponential. Don't even let me see you. Seahawks fan.
Ken is not, on task right now, however, we'll ensure that you get that particular information.
It's good to know what we're spending, what pot we're spending the money out of.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I would definitely.
I assure you one thing, Councilman Mills, we won't spend it from a pot that we can't spend it from by law.
Well, you know, we all taxpayers, we pay it in there, it's coming out of all our pockets.
Exactly, and I think the taxpayer may want to see something that's coming out their pocket.
Man, I gotta tell somebody it didn't fall out of the sky when they asked where the money come from, but anyway.
I'm sorry, can we try to connect Ken again, please?
Yeah, so we're having technical difficulties. Chris is remote again, but for some reason the camera stopped. So the camera is the only way that Ken and the speakers can talk. But it blanked out, and I just text Shalonda and Arquita. They're seeing a blank screen. But for them to talk, it's going through the camera microphone, and the camera's not processing.
Disconnect the camera, can we just call him? Yes, please.
She said it's working now, so let me see. He has himself muted, so he would have to unmute himself too.
Can unmute yourself if you can hear us.
Mike.
Ken, if you can
are we
unmute
going for this
yourself.
now? Like, we have to choose the package right now?
You have that option to do so if you want to tonight.
All right, Ken, you
I'm
there?
not ready for that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, there we go.
Okay. So the question came up about the line item, that any of these packages would come from, and how does that line item currently look? Are we gonna have to pull the funds from somewhere else, et cetera?
Yes, ma'am. So there's not any money budgeted currently for this. You could add it to the line that we were paying for out of the financial audit, and that would need to be a budget amendment where we would just pull that from fund balance.
Any other questions or comments?
I have a question, because I know previously, and I'm apologizing for being late. Previously, when we were talking about an auditing firm, and I think this was before our previous city manager came, we were talking about switching companies, because this company had been here, doing our audits for a while, so that we just disregarding that, or, I mean, I'm for the audit. I feel like we, as a city, we need to know what we have and what we don't have, so that we can operate how we need to operate, but I also wanted to make sure that we're doing what we said we would do, when it comes to these same companies that have relationships with people in the city, and are they giving us the information that we need to move forward?
Point made. We are entertaining that particular question in our particular meeting in terms of having fresh eyes on the city. This gentleman right here has come to the table. He's gonna, him and his company's gonna be fresh eyes on the city. We understand that this could come as a big firm. We just want to ensure that we get fresh eyes on the city, and that they can do it. So, is it the same firm? Yes. Is it added to it? Yes. But do it accomplish the goal in terms of getting fresh eyes on the city and doing what we need to get done at this particular time in our tenure with this particular city? Yes.
So you guys are currently doing our audit that starts next month, correct?
Well, the company, I don't think him.
Well, yeah, they're
Oh,
not,
yeah,
but the
gotcha.
company.
Yeah, so I'll let Doug speak. Doug is the audit partner, and one point of clarification is yes, we are both part of the same firm. We do not work together. So Doug is a CPA and is on the audit side of the house. I'm on the advisory side of the house. So I just wanted to make that clear.
So yes, we're supposed to start the financial and compliance audit probably in October. it. So, like David said, his team is completely different from the audit. He's leading the advisory practice. He has his own team, fresh eyes, completely separate from the audit. So they'll be doing their thing, we'll be doing our thing, doing the financial audit. So there won't be any cross staff working on this engagement.
Do you sing, brother? Do you sing?
Do I sing?
I wasn't expecting that voice.
It depends.
Sometimes? Okay, I knew it.
My wife would say otherwise.
Any other questions or comments about Malden and Jenkins and the city-wide performance and operational audit?
Personally, I think we need this. I am not comfortable though tonight voting on a package. I would need probably more time just to go through it. I know we've had this, but him explaining it has just brought up, some valid points that I would like to further review, but I'm in accordance with it. I don't know which one to approve. Like if you throw that on me right now, I don't know.
Just to offer this, and as a suggestion, certainly not trying to do your job for you by any means. You certainly can vote on the concept or moving forward, and then we could determine which package or what level of detail that you wanted to go forward with in the future. Just throwing that out there.
So let's say option 3, 1,000 hours. What does that look like in time as far as you doing the reporting and then the findings coming back?
So all 3 of the options will be complete within 90 days. So yes, so it's a different level. Our team size would be bigger. Based on option 3, we would be touching more people and touching more data, but all 3 will be complete within 90 days. I'm a firm believer in transparency and accountability, so we would be providing status reports every 2 weeks to the project sponsor. If the city desires for a formal update, I'm happy to provide that. We would provide a draft report where you get the opportunity to review the report, identify if there are issues or things that you believe we may not have gotten correct. It gives you time to review it. We have conversation and we refine it as appropriate before a final report. And again, that final report would include very detailed findings of your current state, as well as numerous detailed recommendations and an implementation roadmap to immediately the next day begin implementing and making some of these changes.
So the draft, is that like at a halfway point, or when would that come?
The draft report would come at day 75, so typically it's toward the end. So, and we view a draft report as a complete report. It's just kind of a version 1, if you will, so that everybody can see it and make some comments or have discussions before we finalize it.
So let's say if you give us a draft report and there's findings, and not to pick on Bruce, but on the economic development side, and we say we would like to know more about this, would you then go back and go in deeper in there, or no?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
Well, I got a question about the longevity. We've been audited here in the last 6 months. What is the shelf life of this? Is it yearly, quarterly? How often should this take place?
So my personal recommendation is that something this comprehensive citywide should be done at a minimum every 10 years. And then another trigger would be if you have significant change in leadership.
So once we move forward with this audit, then we shouldn't have to. We will know everything we need to know unless we have a major change in management for 10 years.
Generally speaking, yes.
Would you also take our comprehensive plan into consideration when you do this?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. As I mentioned, a lot of information that we're going to be requesting and data. Those are exactly the type of things that we'd be looking at as well.
Okay. I just have a question as far as Mike. I don't know. I know sometimes we can take time with giving up information. Would that hinder your process, or would it still be 90 days? Or if we take too long with something, is that going to be like a different cost? Or?
So it wouldn't be a different cost. Our timeline is dependent on a couple of assumptions. So I would ask that the city appoint a project sponsor, so somebody that, one person that is kind of overseeing the project, that is kind of our liaison, that would be responsible for helping, gather that information. And my request would be that they would be high up in the organization, so that if somebody is dragging their feet, they can they can nudge them around, so, maybe even have a gun, so.
I was curious if, the city manager just could give me a recommendation. I know Councilman, Hector was saying how he was, he just needs some more time to review. What was your recommendation for us on urgency on this?
I think the urgency is now, the recommendation for that person point of contact would be Chief. Chief would actually head this piece up and oversee it. And the reason being, he's been through it before already, and he is the deputy city manager, and he can do it at the level we were looking for. I want to add to this, right? I can understand if we was just the city of Forest Park and it was a smaller city. We're not that. We're a city on the growth. We're looking at, we got 4 Gillum. So we got a city within a city that's operating with us. So we need to turn over every rock and and looking at every corner that's out here to make sure that we're holding everything that falls under Forest Park. We're able to hold it to standard the people want. So again, I say we need to move forward today.
Well, can I ask a question? The number, is it a particular one that you all were looking in?
I would,
Option 1, 2, or 3?
my recommendation is, and in talking with Ken and talking with Chief, is number 3. So we can have the in-depth audit, we know what's going on, and we can move forward. Everybody knows what's going on. Because I tell you, I say it from this thing. I got a package right here. I got a package thing right here where I get requests every week, right? In reference to package of stuff that I got to send Chief and his whole team out to try to find. We had a workshop just last week, the whole last week, to come up, to turn out every department to find out any question that you all may have for us to try to be able to answer at a moment's notice. That took 2 to 3 people out of every department in order to come up with that particular workshop. So everybody know that information we're trying to get. Well, they're going to be able to find it, and then you already got it. You asked me for it because I'm supposed to have it. And you all need to know. It's not that you asked me for it and you don't need to know. You asked me for it because you need to know it, right? But I'm telling you, I can't provide it in the manner that you want it, right? So I'm needing help. And so these gentlemen here can give us the help we need in order to know how to move forward. And so that's why I'm asking for that.
So what is the package that you recommend?
Yeah, and I think with all due
Option
respect,
3.
they're professionals in this, nothing against you, Barker, but this is what they do.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I just have a question about that. Option 3 and the number of hours that the firm will spend on it. I'm just concerned about the annual audit that's due, and then of course we got deadlines that has to be met, and if we don't meet those deadlines, then we have to pay a penalty, increased penalty to the city if we don't follow those deadlines. So I'm concerned about taxing the employees at the time when the annual audit is due, plus trying to do the citywide performance operational audit at the same time. How that will, pull from the staff that we have to try to get this information done. I don't know if either one of you all can speak to that, how it actually will affect the staff.
I had an extensive talk with Ken and Chief in reference to what you just said, right? One of the reasons why we're looking at this particular company because it wouldn't affect that piece of the puzzle. That's one of the reasons why we're looking at it. And we're able to move forward and meet all our particular timelines with our audits. So that's one of the reasons. However, I'll let you speak a little bit further into it.
Okay, so with the financial audit and then what David Roberts and his team are going to be doing, they're not going to be requesting a lot of information from the main people in the finance and accounting department. So they'll be, specifically working on gathering the information that we need to do the financial audit. Also, the city also utilizes Steve Garber as a consultant. He comes in and helps the city get ready for the audit as well. I think he's supposed to be out here either this week or next week. So you do have some outside assistance that is helping Ken and his staff get ready for the audit. So it shouldn't be where they're coming in, it's gonna take away from them, and then the audit's gonna be delayed. So it shouldn't have any bearings on that.
Could we publish this to the public with this, or no, there's some stuff that we couldn't?
I think that depends, basically on some of the findings and really your desire. If there are things that may be a safety issue or things of that nature, then, potentially it could be under, client privilege.
Yeah.
But typically these reports are presentable and open to FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, and submitted to the public, or available to the public.
Thank you.
And I think that if you go down this initiative, as I said, if there are certain parts that you deem sensitive, we can certainly wall off certain parts. But I think, a great demonstration to the public of your commitment to accountability and transparency is to obviously let everybody know that you're doing this.
Yep, I agree.
Anything else?
I'd like to add, Mayor and Council, doing this particular audit should be a feather in your hat. Because you can say that we found every dime or every practice that's done wrong, we corrected. Some of the things that you all ran on was transparency
I did.
in government. So this here, you can say you answered the bail in reference to that. Now, I know you're looking at this to the nth degree, and you should be, right? But we need this as a city. We need this. I'm telling you as a city manager, hey, things that you're asking me for, we can't find them. We gotta try to create it, or we gotta try to find out where it exists. And I give you one example in terms of contracts, right? We have a contract. We have a contract that we may try to find. You say, okay, we get paid on this. We got a contract for this. Well, somebody that took the contracts. Now I'm tell you, this is before my time, because that person be already gone too. Somebody that took the contracts from the city. Where are they? You don't know. However, we gotta find a starting point, because you're asking me for it. You're asking me for this stuff, and I'm telling you, we don't have it. We gotta find a starting point, right? So this firm can help us find this starting point so we can move forward. That's all I have here.
All right, thank you. Are you done with your,
It's not gonna work.
Yes, ma'am.
Ken raised his hand in the chat.
Did Ken want to speak?
He's unmuted.
Maybe it's an old hand. I teach, so every time I see a hand, it's like a trigger. Somebody needs to communicate.
Yeah, we're having technical difficulties.
Well, until we figure out what's going on, if Ken has a question or not. A COVID update, Major Turner. You have the floor, sir.
This is not gonna work. We're just gonna have to be
Major, go Falcons.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. How are you this evening? Our numbers in the South Metro area do remain stable. In spite of the fact that we do have continuous increases in numbers. As of this afternoon, Clayton County had 7,015 cases, which was an increase of 5 in the past 24 hours. The city had a number of 741 as of the 16th, have not yet received updated numbers since the weekend. Those result in about 10 to 12 active cases within the incorporated city. All of these numbers, again, are cumulative since May 1st, and the rate of daily positive cases actually has dropped by 0.1% to about 10.3 currently. The 14-day daily average of new cases remains on a steady decline since earlier in the summer. The public is still encouraged to follow good personal hygiene practices, washing hands frequently, using sanitizer when washing is not possible, observing social distancing of at least 6 feet, and wearing of a mask in situations where social distancing is not possible. The fire department personnel do our part by continually or undergoing twice daily screenings. This includes temperature as well as symptom checks among their shifts for COVID-19 related symptoms, with procedures that address anyone who shows signs of potential infection. Our personnel also follow strict PPE procedures when answering requests for assistance by citizens who are sick. These procedures are periodically reviewed and updated with the oversight of our fire department medical director, Dr. Jim Augustin. The fire department continues to provide uninterrupted service and provides blood pressure checks as well at each fire station with certain precautionary measures. All of this are our efforts to minimize potential spread and transmission of this COVID-19 virus. That's all I have. If you have any questions.
I got a question.
Sure.
Thank you for that. So, just curious, us being one of the largest cities in the state, and the vaccine coming down, vaccine is coming soon, and I know the insurance commissioner was trying to find the logistics on how the vaccine will be given out to the different cities. Do we know anything on how, on where, how it will
I have
be?
not heard anything specifically. What typically occurs with that is that it is distributed through established pathways within the Georgia Emergency Management System. So the city as its own emergency management agency would be equal in level, in distribution level to, say, the county. So we would be looked at as, and we are listed for other previous vaccines and inoculations as a public distribution point within the north end of the county. So
I'm sure you'll jump on it as soon as it comes down.
we would definitely be involved in that process as soon as it becomes available.
And
Yes, sir.
seeing who would take it. That's another element.
And so there would be, it would come through the county, but we would be a specific distribution point for that.
Would it be free, you know?
I don't know. That would be beyond my scope to even venture an answer.
Thank you.
Are the flu symptoms similar? Or can you tell a difference? Can an individual?
There is a lot of similarity with this virus and the common cold. Now, with the inclusion of gastrointestinal discomfort and symptoms, it has broadened across several different infections. The flu is another similar virus that we have to be concerned with the cooling temperatures, and it is being recommended even more so this year that those that are able take the flu vaccine to reduce the chances of that being another complication to this virus as well.
So an individual wouldn't be able to tell the difference without?
Not without testing, no, sir. And there is specific testing for the influenza strains as well as separate from the COVID strains.
We're gonna have to take it till things come back to normal.
Well, before we get to the old business, I would like to swear in Chief Horton. So, sir. I'm gonna go up to the podium here. All right, Chief. I need you to raise your right hand and then I guess we're gonna kind of share the mic because you're gonna have to repeat after me. I solemnly swear or affirm
solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and of the state of Georgia,
and the state of Georgia,
and that I will,
and that I will,
in all respects,
in all respects,
observe the provisions
observe the provisions
of the Charter
of the Charter
and ordinances
and ordinances
of the city of Forest Park,
of the city of Forest Park,
and
and
I will
I will
well and truly
well and truly
perform the duties
perform the duties
as fire chief,
as fire chief,
and
and
that I will,
I will,
to the utmost of my skill and ability,
utmost of my skill and my ability,
endeavor to promote
endeavor to promote
the interests
the interests
and property
and property
of said city
of said city
without fear,
without fear,
favor,
favor,
or affection.
or respect.
So help me God.
So help me God.
It's official.
Just for the record, for the public, I just saw a question in the chat. He is not a Seahawks fan.
And there would be absolutely nothing wrong if he was. Is there any words you would like to say? Is there any?
Yes, and I'll try to be quick. First of all, I want to be remiss if I didn't take the opportunity to thank Councilperson Antoine. I've been in this profession about 40 years, and I've been in 5 different cities, and I never felt so welcome as that those words that you passed on in your delivery. So from one person to another, I'm surely appreciative of that. I stand here today humble as your fire chief to have an opportunity to serve the city of Forest Park. I come here with no form of fashion, only with a humble heart to serve. I'd like to thank Chief Clark, who I thought I was taking a job for the FBI after all he took me through. So I applaud him. I want to thank the city manager, and I want to thank the mayor for giving me the opportunity. We expect to move Forest Park Fire Department, a little department that looks big. My only goal is to build on what the past chiefs have done in the past and rise this organization. Send them home first the way their family members send them to us. And then we're going to take care of everything else. So thank you again. I do want to address one thing if I could. Mr. Antoine, Councilperson Antoine, you talked about the distribution, I should say, on the medicine. I know you'll see our CEMP plan. That should be a pandemic plan to outline that. So we're going to go back and not just give you an answer on COVID, but any pandemic. COVID is just step one. As we live through this process, there will be other pandemics. So it's not my role of the fire department to come answer that question today. I want to be able to answer that question long term where you don't have to revisit it. We want to know what's the plan, what's the distribution site, when it comes, when it's over, where do we put people, how do we get them there? We're going to take care of all that. So I just want to let you know we're going to get on top of that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So now we have item 8, old business. And Councilwoman James, I am going to give you the floor, ma'am, for the discussions of the renovation of city buildings, acquisitions of furniture, budget line items, and budget hearing minutes.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll first start with the budget hearing minutes. I appreciate receiving the budget hearing minutes for our second budget hearing that was held in June. I'm still looking forward to our first budget hearing minutes, and I just want to say that it's really unacceptable. We are in, September the 21st, and we had our budget meeting back in June. I really think that's unacceptable. So hopefully moving forward, City Manager, I know he's walking around, I hope you're hearing me. Are you hearing me? Because this is addressed to you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. It's really unacceptable to go this long without having prepared minutes. So that's the first thing on the budget hearing minutes. So hopefully we will be able to get that first set of minutes soon.
Okay, wait, before you go to the next one, is there any other comments on that?
Yeah, I want to add, and I want to echo what Councilwoman James said. I think also the process itself, I think there's a problem with it. For being my first budget hearing, I think it was ineffective to just rush everything into those 2 meetings. I've gone to some GMA trainings, and I've heard other representatives from other cities say how it's a year-long event where they have quarterly meetings. And I know when I mentioned it to Darquita, she said that's something that she wants to bring up. So I hope that is something that we implement, because it just, the whole process itself, the minute's unacceptable. But then again, I understand it takes a while to do them. Definitely not these many months. It shouldn't have taken that long. But if we had more meetings leading up to it, I think a budget is a yearly thing. It shouldn't be crammed all in that 1 month. So, as we grow, we'll get better. But thank you for bringing that up, Councilwoman.
I will say that that's part of this. That's part of this uncoupling as well. We're actually trying to do everything line it up properly by law. What you just spoke of is something that's duly noted, and we will definitely make that particular change in this implementing this new practice, which should have already been in practice.
The other item that I wanted to discuss last week had to do with the renovations of city buildings. I was concerned about all of the, I shouldn't say concerned because it's not the correct word, but not being aware of the construction that's going on in City Hall as well as over at the council building. Not knowing, what budget item is coming out of, how it's being paid for. Is it part of the budget that's already been implemented? What are the people that actually have the contract to do the work? All of that I have no idea about it. So we talk about, wanting to move forward and have this citywide audit and find out where all the contracts are and all that kind of stuff. Well, we don't even know what's been going on the last 90 days, and I'm concerned. Well, if it's public works, let's say it.
It's public work. We're doing this in-house. This comes from Public Works.
I see a truck out there from another company. I don't know I'm sorry. I saw a truck. I don't know the name of the company that had that was putting in the windows. That's not Public Works.
Glass truck.
Public Work is actually doing the particular job. However, if they need to get the glass from a company, I can't tell Public Work to make the glass.
You saying it in a sarcastic way.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Taking it that way. No, I'm not.
Okay.
What I'm saying is Public Work is actually performing the duties over there.
Okay, but
So
see,
that
I wouldn't
took work,
know.
so-
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know that. That is something that, with something that's this major, this is something that we need to know. We need to know. Is it of a cost? Are you saying it's completely no cost to this?
No, what I'm saying is, you all passed the budget. We're supposed to be able to operate with the city a couple of months ago.
Right.
And basically what we're doing is we're taking that budget and we're putting it in place in order to move forward with the city. Now, I've said this before, I say it again. Not in this particular meeting. However, maybe the difference is you actually seeing your money in action, or the city actually seeing their money in action versus being in someone else's pocket. We're actually putting it out there for everybody to see, utilizing our city. And I gotta give props to our public works department. They're doing an outstanding job in going over and beyond the call of duty and putting these things in place. So it's not money that's being used running. It's money being used in textual with the line with the budget.
Okay, so there is a budget item.
I got a point of interest there. I think what Ms. James is trying to say is that we know you got a budget and you're going under a budget and all that kind of stuff, but it's not very transparent to the board of what's going on, I mean, it wouldn't hurt to give us a shout saying, well, you know, we're starting renovation here, we're starting there, we're starting this, we may do this, we may do that. The question is, in my mind, is why we're not in the loop. I mean, we are ultimately responsible for the situation, and we should have a courtesy flush of some kind of what's going on in this building, regardless of who does it or how much it costs.
So is this
And
for
when council people don't have a clue until they come up here, I come up here myself, I see all this going on, well, that's fine and good. I know we're moving forward, and that's great. And you're probably doing your job like you're supposed to. But this council is ultimately responsible and needs to know what's going on. We're not being transparent with the council. That's my only complaint.
So is this for?
I think we are being transparent with the council. I think we're being more than transparent with the council.
I mean, look, if you're gonna change carpet and add extra rooms, I don't need that.
I mean,
It's just like-
I would now, since some council members do want to know, I would inform that in your future city manager's reports, anything we add, if it's a new weed eater, I guess, I don't know, if it's a new blade for the lawnmower, if it's a new tire, I don't understand. You didn't go over. Did you go over your money amount for this?
No, sir.
Okay, then I don't know how specific do you want this to get, Councilwoman James, when it's coming in here for us.
Okay, so let me just use an example. Over at the council room building, I don't know the address,
Our council chambers. Yeah.
chambers, a new office was built. What was the cost of that for the city? Do you know?
I don't know. I know Public Works made it.
Public Works did it.
So it's not a cost when it's come from Public Works, is that what you're saying?
It is a cost. It's been budgeted already. You already budgeted, and then you guys got the particular building, the office, and you all being able to share that particular office, so you know it exists. Now I can tell you beforehand, hey, can I get permission to take some plywood and go over there from Public Works and build this
Okay, you know
office
what?
out for yourself?
That's not what I'm saying.
And
And I'm not saying,
I really know what you're saying.
I'm trying to make it clear, but I obviously I'm not making it clear. Let me make it clear. Let me make it clear. Let me make it clear. I'm not saying tell me when you go get a weed eater, Councilman Gutierrez.
Okay.
I'm not saying tell me when you go get a blade. I'm saying if there is a major project that's happening, like when we had the renovations of this beautiful council chamber, we know exactly that this was gonna happen. When we had the renovations of the bathrooms out there, we knew we knew exactly what was gonna happen. So my point is, if there is a major change that's happening, I think we should know. Whether that means, go back to the green sheets that you were talking about, where we get a monthly basis and we know certain things that are gonna happen. It's brought to our attention. That's what I'm talking about. So,
I guess what would be major and what isn't major.
That's what I'm.
That way you know, because
Because adding like an extra room in the council chamber is not major.
it's a wall.
It's
not even a room.
Exactly.
And what I would advise you to do, Kim, because I hear your concerns, two parts. A, sitting down with other city managers, like I've done that for my own. Okay, so I sat down with different city managers, and this is not a concern on seeing if there was an extra room built in building D.
it's not about the extra.
But I'm just saying, okay, and then, I'm just giving you my perspective. So, sitting down with different, city managers and see how they operate in addition with the council, and what they, you go out to a city manager, but hey, I'm asking about an extra room. Do your council ask, or wanna know where the budget item for carpet and paint coming from? And see where they're coming from in that. And then also, this conversation is more private, and it could be addressed in a meeting between
Yes,
you
ma'am.
and the city manager.
Okay, I think
That's my
everybody has valid concerns. Councilwoman James has valid concerns. I understand what Councilman Antoine and Gutierrez is saying. At the end of the day, it will solve a lot of problems if you just let us know. That's it. It ain't about. I don't want to know about the small stuff. I come to you about the things that I have issues with. But at the same time, it doesn't look right for a council member not to know what's going on until they walk in on the situation. So I would just say just the communication. We just need to work on communicating, you know, because we should know. We should be in the loop. You know, so nobody's wrong. Everybody feel how they feel. Some people concerned about the small stuff and some aren't. But at the end of the day, just to kill all of this, then just let us know. That's
Thank
it.
you, Councilwoman Wells. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true, but I guess just for the future references, just so you know what's major and what's not, that way you feel informed, Councilwoman James, because with all due respect, I didn't mean to come off as like I just wanted to know what the line is of major and not major, because I don't see these
Maybe
walls
we could
being
answer
major.
that if you wanna set a dollar amount to it all. If it's anything over 5,000 or whatever, I mean, that may be one way to gauge.
Yeah.
And, you know, if it's something that you don't wanna know, then that's fine, but at least the information is out there, so we can't say we didn't get it.
Because, and I agree with that, if that be the case, because I think the threshold right now is $10,000, right? Provided by stay within the particular budget. I think we've been thinking outside the box with directors in order to try to put this stuff in place and make sure we stay within the guidelines. But if that number got to be $1,000, please tell me. If that's what you want to hear, $1,000, $500. I don't have a problem. I mean, it's government money. It's not my money.
Which probably ties perfectly into, well, were you done? Because you still have the acquisition of furniture and the budget line item.
No, I'm done.
Okay. New business, item 9. We don't have to approve your yard of the quarter, do we? We don't do it, okay.
We gotta shout them out though.
Well, yes,
Gotta shout 'em
discussion. Ward 4, yard of the quarter, goes to
You got a
646
picture up there. Hold
Glen
on.
Drive. Councilwoman Wells will give you the floor after I read the background and summary. Each quarter, Ward 4, Councilwoman Latresa Akins Wells celebrates and recognizes a yard in her ward with exceptional upkeep and landscaping. This quarter, she recognizes the Robinson family at 645 Glen Drive. Typically, the family receives their yard sign and a gift card at the council meeting, but due to the COVID-19 pandemic, they are not able to attend. We appreciate the Robinson family for their commitment to keeping our city beautiful.
Great job.
I would just like to say to Ms. Robinson, I was actually in the community where we were in the community having some senior yards cut, and I was talking to one of Ms. Robinson's neighbors, and she actually had a nice yard, and she was just telling me, you know, they keep their yard so nice. We get great ideas from them. They bring flowers over here and they try to help within the community, and so that's what it was about. When I initiated the Keep Ward 4 Beautiful program, that's what I wanted to do, to motivate neighbors to keep their yards beautiful. And this is what Mrs. Robinson and her daughter is doing. So I just want to thank them for helping to keep Ward 4 beautiful, which helps keep Forest Park beautiful.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Congratulations to the Robinson family. Item 10, consider 4 resolutions by the City Council of Forest Park authorizing the mayor to execute certain annual license agreements for the use of Forest Park recreational facilities to provide for severability, to provide an effective date, and for other purposes. Background and summary. Each year, various youth athletic programs utilize our athletic fields, stadium, and other recreation facilities for their programs. Staff is seeking approval of the mayor and council to authorize the mayor to execute the license agreements, which are identical in all substantial respects to the terms used in previous years. The staff has vetted the programs and confirmed that there are no conflicts for the dates set forth in each license agreement. The contracts are for Southwest Cardinals, Stump Town Football, 300 Spartans Youth Association, and Ordas Soccer Academy. Is there a motion to approve this item?
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Councilwoman James?
Yes.
Councilman Antoine?
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wells?
You said in discussion, but you called the roll before. What I wanted to say is, because it's in Councilman Antoine's, ward, but is there anything we can put in place to when these organizations come, it's trash everywhere, like all in the parking lot, and our public works department have to come and clean it up, and normally the organizations are supposed to be responsible. So can we put something in place, because the homes, the residents around that area shouldn't have to deal with that. And one lady even said, and I think you spoke to her, Councilman Antoine, that she had company coming over, she didn't even want to invite her company over because it was trash, and it's normally bad. So I just want to make sure the people that are using our facilities will respect them, like the residents do.
Writing like a fine.
Director Maxwell, is he here? Are you on, sir?
Yes.
Okay, if you can hear me, Tariq, unmute yourself, please.
I thought when we had the contract drawn up that there was a stipulation in there that they would control and clean up behind
It's
themselves.
supposed to be.
Mike, do you have these contracts?
Or either,
Mr. Maxwell, can you hear me?
or either we would do it and charge the
Yep, exactly.
association or whatever.
If we have to clean, then we
I
charge
thought-
them a
I
fee.
thought that's what we
I
had.
just want
And
to-
that's where we
There's a
had it.
provision in there where they're supposed to, and it's, we need to hold them accountable to what they're required to do,
Right.
but we can
I
always.
think that's what it
use
is
that
on
out
them
to
accounts.
make it clear
Yep.
that if you
Staying
don't,
after
then
the
there's a penalty.
soccer game, football.
Well, that needs to be,
It needs to be in the
Implement.
contract.
I like that.
Well,
I think we all agree
can
to
we make if we, I thought I heard something.
change it.
we had
That we
that in
make
there.
sure that condition is in the contract.
Exactly.
And then do we need to set a fee for the penalty?
I thought we did already.
I don't think there's a specific fee penalty in there, but, you know, I can get with Tariq and we can work out what that needs to be. I just don't know, you know, you can calculate it in terms of the man hours that it would cost Public Works to go out and clean. And we know generally what that is, and so we can say it would be that, you know, 2 hours of cleaning, it's $100 or $50, whatever it is.
Thank you. I just want to make sure that you're accountable,
I have the
because we have to
contract.
live
Maybe
here.
it
Over
could
real
be,
quick.
and just thinking out loud, maybe it could be overtime pay.
Yeah, definitely something that's worth the time, because if you know, if maybe some organizations like, we don't gotta clean up, we're just paying them $50, $100, and then they're just being extra, which I doubt they would, because they're using our facilities, but.
Well, I thought what we wrote it up before was there was a certain amount they were supposed to do. And if we had to bring in our resources, that the Public Works Director would come up with a number of the hours or whatever it had to clean up behind them, and they would be responsible to pay that back to the city.
I guess
There
all this
is-
talk, Maxwell will be on with
It is in the contract on Article 3. I'm looking at the first contract on page 3. Consideration and agreement, it does say that they will pay $100 cleanup fee, and they will provide their own cleaning service. And it must meet staff approval, so that is in the contract.
You said
We're
$100?
not doing that, absolutely.
Yeah, but if they're not compliant with it, then, you know, we gotta make sure that they are, held accountable to it.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
So the question Councilwoman Wells raised.
Yeah, I heard.
Okay,
I heard the,
so-
question. We are working with the organizations to clean up after themselves, and if they're not able to do that, then we're looking at paying public. They're looking at paying Public Works to actually pretty much put it in the contract to where they actually pay them to clean it up.
That's what I thought we done last time.
Do they pay the employees, or they paying the department? How is that?
Yeah, that part may be any more detailed.
If we pay Public Works, they will actually, when Public Works come out there, they will get paid on the spot, just like the police officers, just like staff,
Is that something that we
That's
can
how we
do?
do it.
I mean, what accounting methods do we have for that?
Huh?
What accounting methods do we have for that?
For them paying the officers.
If they're paying the employees directly?
Yes, when they come rent it, whatever the fee is, like for police officers, whenever they rent it, they give us the officer might give us the fee, and they pay us at the rent center, and then we give the people that rent a receipt what they paid, and then we pay the officers when they come out there. So it'll be the same way if we use public works.
One way to maybe revamp that so it's clear is to charge,
Just take it off, Mike, that's trash.
yeah,
That massive
if you
trash.
wanted to revamp it so it's cleaner, we can basically charge a deposit and then,
Exactly.
and charge that if they don't clean it up. And that way we can keep track of it. And, you know, if they have multiple nights and, you know, the first 5 nights, they clean it up, great. But if on the 5th night, you know, it's dirty, well, then we hit the deposit and we take it out of that, and then it's refundable if we never use it.
At the end of the season.
But we would need to add that into there.
Ask our procurement guy, he's here. He's an all-star, I heard, so.
So how do we go about that? Like, who, does that go into the Parks and Rec? But, I mean, cause it has to go into somebody's budget. So where does it go? Cause just paying an employee, I mean, I can't understand paying the officers right off top, but, I mean, it just seems like it should be more to it.
Well, if it goes in, if they pay us for something they didn't do, then that money goes into the Public Works budget, I would think, because Public Works paying them a salary. So the salary is taken out of the city budget or the Public Works budget, and it's being put back in there with the penalty money that the renters don't pay us back. Is that right?
Yeah.
So we need to come up with an amount now.
So there's $100 in there. I didn't remember that from before, but there's $100. You can, you know, increase the deposit to cover the entire season. And if they deplete it early, then we'll have a provision that they're responsible for replenishing it if for whatever reason they're just not keeping it clean.
Well, some of these maybe little league groups might not have like a big deposit to put up front.
Yeah, and that's a lot of them don't like. We're trying to put a deposit on they rent these stadiums for like, when I got it for like some 4, 5, 6 games. So are we doing it by the game or are we doing one big lump sum? My thing is at the moment it seems to be they're trying to implement them cleaning it up. You know, they've been doing a pretty decent job. And we're giving them the option that if they can't have it clean the way the city wants from Monday morning, then come that next rental, they have to officially pay Public Works to clean it. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it.
So they get like a strike.
So if Public Works come in Monday morning, then it's pretty much to a standard that okay, from all the parking lots, the neighbor across the street, you know, everything is fine, then they're fine. But if they come in and it's not, then their next rental, they have to actually start paying for a cleanup.
And see, that's what I promise I'm not trying to make it a big deal. I just, when I get complaints, their complaints are now mine. And so, like, who will be responsible? Because just say the game is on a Saturday. That means our park has to look like that until Monday. We have a weekend person that works part-time. But is it fair to them to have to clean up all of this mess? How would the money be? Because, yeah, they should get something, you know, because they're the ones that's having to clean it up. So it will go to Public Works, but it won't go to that person. I don't think it's okay to just hand them the money, but we need to make sure they're compensated for doing work that the organization should be doing.
Well, are you coming out, if they come in on Monday morning, they have to do the work?
I mean, I guess both ways. For one, the park shouldn't have to, it shouldn't look like that the entire weekend. So that's why I'm saying, how do we be more strict on them to let them know, okay, we're not gonna deal with this. Of course we want you to come and utilize our park, but we want it to be clean because we have to live here. So, you know, how do we hold them?
The only way I'm pretty much without, because right now I'm trying to give them too much, you know, deposit, paying $100 a game for deposit. That's already putting a strain on them when it's rec ball. They already can't really get the money together to actually do. So what I'm trying to do is give them the
game in and clean it, and whoever's working that pretty much off the rental get paid right then and there before they even leave for the night.
What's the process when they finish? Like whenever they finish and I guess they hand the keys over or whoever closes it, can we just have that person sign off and just look around and make sure that it's clean?
Yeah, and that's what we do. We have a staff member pretty much on site that pretty much makes sure when they go on forward, since we did get the complaint, we had a staff member on site that makes sure it's pretty much clean. And I talk to each organization and inform them that if it's not clean, they jeopardize not being able to use the facility. And once again, once you've already scheduled your game, you can't risk not having your game. So in the past 2-3 weeks, we've been on top of it as far as them cleaning, doing what they have to do, or we talked to Public Works and worked out a fee. And if they need Public Works, they let me know days before. Public Works schedule somebody, and when they come out, pretty much once they finish the job, somebody signs off on it saying it's clean, and pretty much they get paid for it.
Mr. Maxwell,
Yes, sir.
can we ensure somebody do a walk around so we don't get any complaints like this going forward?
Yes, since we did get that complaint, my team member that's out there has been working around, making sure that, when they leave at the end of the night, that it's clean, trash not sitting around. We've got with Public Works to get more trash cans out there because that was an issue with the crowd we had. There was not enough trash cans around the stadium area, parking and all that. So we worked to get more trash out there, and my team member is around to make sure trash is being picking up the big trash. Now, the little small minor things, probably missing that, but the big major trash, we're pretty much sure that it looks presentable, especially when Monday morning comes.
Okay, we want to make sure it looks presentable for the following day. So note that, make necessary adjustments for us, and then we can just go ahead and move forward. That way we don't get no complaints from any other wards.
What about if
Yes, sir.
what about if we get, the council, mayor council just gets Mike to get with Maxwell and come back to us about the contract plan and how.
It's already in there. Councilwoman James is in there.
Because I guess, we don't know exactly, how this contract is set up. Like, you might get it with Maxwell, so you could come back to us and just report to us where it is.
Well, I think does this need to be approved before the next time? For these leagues or for this?
My understanding is they're already beginning to use the fields.
Yeah.
This is a council meeting behind.
Yeah.
So
But Councilwoman James says she's found where it's already in the contract, so I
there
guess.
is a provision in the contract.
We just need to hold them accountable.
Yeah.
So just make the last person, make sure they do a real, police and everything. Like go around and make sure that everything's up to the standards like they found it.
Correct.
We got you.
Correct, sir. We'll make sure that.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Maxwell.
Thank you, Director.
No problem.
All right,
Is
so
this a
we'll
new
do the
phone?
voting one more time. Councilwoman James?
Yes.
Councilman Antoine?
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez?
See,
Councilwoman Wells?
Hispanic Heritage Month.
Councilman Mears?
Rep.
Yes.
Thank you. Item 11, consider a resolution by the City Council of the City of Forest Park authorizing the mayor to execute a letter agreement with Malden and Jenkins to provide the city a letter agreement to provide the city's first ever citywide performance audit. And the presenter we all heard was David Roberts. Background and summary. Staff proposals that the city engage the services of Malden and Jenkins to undertake citywide performance audit of every department. The goal of the audit is to establish a baseline of the city's existing operations and to identify areas for improvement and/or corrective action. The firm will review every department's operation At the end of the audit, the firm will provide a comprehensive blueprint for each department to undertake recommended reforms. The estimated cost and timeline are set forth in the letter agreement. Then we also heard, we had a conversation on it earlier. So, is there a motion on this? I know some expressed wanting to wait, so I'm gonna open it up for a motion.
I make a motion that we accept this resolution.
I second.
Okay, we're gonna do a second one to determine the option.
Yeah.
Any discussion?
I have a question. Did Mr. Roberts is still here?
No. They left.
Okay, so I'm just, maybe you probably know, Barker or Mike, this option that he gave us with this amount of hours is based on like the government size that we have, the city population. This is not like Atlanta wouldn't get the same price. It's
No.
based on us
Yeah,
specifically.
Their operation is much larger and requires a lot more work. This was tailored to Forest Parks.
Okay, thank you.
At what point are we gonna get the contract?
We would have to get a letter, but their contract, that they have is based on hours, or hourly rates, and that's an estimate, but it would be basically an agreed upon procedures letter that with the auditing firm, which is almost identical to the one we have, just with a different scope, which would be this plus the fee structure.
Do we have a provision in there if they're not performing, where if we terminate their contract early, we're not responsible for fulfilling?
Yeah, you would, if you terminate early, then you only owe them what the hours they've incurred prior to termination. So, that's what you would see in that situation. So you wouldn't be on the hook for the entire amount if you felt for whatever reason that this wasn't going anywhere.
I have another question. I know that my fear is that they need something where we have to dig into IBM notes or something related to technology, because right now Forest Park, we're not too hot on the technology scale. So that's my fear, and then that holds us back, and these are ours, and then that's, I guess, my only fear. So can you, what would that look like if there is setbacks on the technology side for us? Because if we couldn't get an email to run for a while, then if these people want some email stuff or some files that are in there somewhere, then are we gonna get hit and then not get like the full? I guess that's my only.
I need to spin off of that. Just say we take the top number, the bottom number, the highest number. And if it's a booger bear, like the city manager says it is, to accumulate, which I'm sure it is, I'm not being facetious about that, and it runs over what they expect, we don't need to have any hidden expenses come up right at the end. We need something in writing or something that will guarantee us it will be done at that amount of money. I mean, the time frame we can expand, but we don't need to come back in 3 months because it is a hard number and say, well, we're gonna need another $100,000. This is a different, that's something that we need in writing, that it's signed, sealed, and delivered for that amount of money for the duration of the contract.
Or a range, like it could go more or less depending on the hours, but I definitely agree with Councilman.
We don't need no sleepers.
We can build in a guaranteed maximum price.
Yeah.
They're probably gonna.
Well, if they'll agree with that to complete their project for that amount of money without any extra charge back to the city because of the hardship.
We don't need no boogaloos.
We don't need no wake-up calls.
If I may, I want to let Mr. Jesus speak in reference to that. He's dealt with this particular company before, so he can speak on that intelligently.
The rookie veteran.
Thank you all again, Gerard Jeter, the procurement manager, and I appreciate you all allowing me to do this. First of all, I worked with the city of Atlanta for 15 years. First thing we did was centralized procurement. We hired this firm, KPMG, to do a procedure audit. What it was we identified policies and procedures. It had nothing to do with your financials, okay? And our contract was over $1 million. And it took a year and about a half because of 8,000 employees. But I was there 15 years, that was done the first year. Shirley Franklin did that. The first year, she centralized procurement. She took the responsibility away from each department because they were the ones who were making decisions. So by centralizing procurement, you allow everybody to do the same thing. But at the same time, everybody stuck to the unveil of the policies and procedures that no one is following today.
Yep.
So that's the real reason we need this. And each administration, they unveil things that the other administration did not. So you'll be doing yourself a service and a justice by allowing you all to start fresh with unveiling and uncovering everything that has been covered up before you got here.
You should have just let him talk first. Would have saved an hour. Thank you, sir.
But again, it's going to be worth it. Trust me.
Well, we still had cleared up the backdoor charges. I'm sure they'll do a
well,
good
what
job
you're
on
saying,
that.
not to
As long as they
exceed.
complete their project
Yeah,
with the amount of money that's involved without having to go back to the well. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. The attorney indicated by having a not to exceed cost.
Right.
I guarantee you they're going to go for it. It's worth it.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Welcome to our city.
Thank
All right, Councilwoman James,
Yes.
Councilman Antoine,
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez,
See.
Councilwoman Wells,
Yes.
Councilman Mears.
Yes.
All right, next is to determine which option we're going to use. Is there,
I got one more.
Well, let me,
yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to ask, because I know that's not on the agenda. Like, it was supposed to be one, agenda item. Can we do that? Do we need to amend the agenda?
No,
We don't?
no, it's all covered under the same topic, so you can have multiple votes on the same agenda item.
Okay.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Madam Mayor, if they could state in the motion what option you're gonna vote for in the motion, if you can state that within the motion that they just voted on, we wouldn't have to do two separate votes. We can just,
item?
Mr. Anton
Which-
just stated the motion, so I didn't know what option he could have stated in the motion.
Yeah, yeah. Understood. Which option? Option three.
Take a roll call.
So you need a motion and a second for that.
Is that
option.
your, actual motion?
Yeah, I'm good for that option.
Can you talk into your microphone, please?
I'm good for that option, for option 3.
Okay.
As long as Mike makes those not to exceed and adjustments. Why are you wearing that mask, Mike? Like, what are you trying to do right now? You're with the mayor?
Y'all have
That's
an order
rhetorical.
requiring masks in city hall.
I'd like to make a motion, Mayor,
Yes, sir?
that we, vote on which one of the three and take a consensus of the council, the ones we want to add to the motion that we've just passed.
Well, Councilman Gutierrez already made a motion for option 3.
Yeah, and I think, I guess, to support it, I think we never had anything like this to this magnitude, and if it's done, once every 10 years, and our oldest director hasn't even been here 2 years, I think, what he mentioned, I think this is gonna really help us out. And our new MVP procurement we stole from Atlanta just said and sold us in support of this. I am in full support of this, option 3.
Call for the question.
So you need a second, are you seconding the motion?
Okay, so that was seconded by Councilman Mears. Any further discussion? Councilwoman James?
No.
Councilman Antoine?
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wells?
Yes.
And Councilman Mears?
Yes.
All right, thank you. There was another item for us to amend the agenda to approve a month-to-month service agreement for copier equipment. And this just manifested itself, I believe, and so, Mr. Jeter, I'll let you explain your findings.
This is why we need the audit. I just found this out today. We're trying to look at all expiring contracts, and this one expires this month. So if we don't approve it today, and I got approval from the company to do a month-to-month until we decide whether we want to do a full-blown solicitation. Because what we're doing now is we want to do a citywide contract for all the departments for copiers. And then we're going to talk to each department head and the users of the machines to find out exactly what they want. It's time now for us to get what we want and what we need. Because this is a 3-year contract.
Can I ask you a question, sir?
Yes, sir.
Is, in your opinion, in your years of service, is it cheaper to rent monthly or buy the equipment and phase it out in a certain amount of time? With the rental of the equipment comes with usually automatically you get the service. So which would you think would be most economical for the city, to buy or to rent with a service
To be
contract?
perfectly honest with you, that's the assessment that we're doing right now.
Uh-huh.
Technology changes so much. I mean, we even had an issue of trying to connect a new email system to the printers.
Right.
So it's going to be an assessment before I can really answer that question and put myself on the line for giving you
Yes,
the wrong
thank you.
information.
I appreciate
But we're
that.
looking at all the options.
Right.
And we will come back to you with the best option.
Right.
Right now, we need this month to month so they won't come and take our cotton machines.
I understand.
So, Madam Mayor, you need a motion to amend the agenda, and assuming that motion passes, you need a motion on the item.
So is there a motion to amend the agenda to approve a month-to-month contract service agreement for copier equipment?
And it's with the same people we've had?
Yes.
Okay.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any discussion? Councilwoman James?
Yes.
Councilman Antoine?
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez?
See.
Councilwoman Wells?
Yes.
And Councilman Mears?
Yes.
Now, is there a motion to approve the actual month-to-month service agreement?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any discussion? Councilwoman James?
Yes.
Councilman Antoine?
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wells?
Yes.
And Councilman Mears?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
I would like to say it's not gonna be the last time.
Understood, sir.
I want to say thank you for not allowing it to expire and we go without the service.
Good catch.
All right, so we do have executive session. Are there any public comments? Do you have any? No? Okay. Governing body, you want to do your closing comments?
I have a question. I read somewhere that I read in a comment, which I shouldn't do that probably because Facebook is a dark hole that you can fall into. But someone said that we moved intentionally the comments to the end so we wouldn't have to address them. Is there reasoning behind that comment?
Someone's perception?
Okay, because if they were up front, then it'd be the same thing, right? And nothing would change. Actually, it's
Well,
better
is
at the
that-
end because you can comment on stuff from the meeting, right?
Well, and again, it's up to each individual person, council person, if they want to address those comments. The comments are just for the public to voice their opinions or concerns. We do not have to respond to them. But if you choose to, then you can.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate y'all explaining that to me.
Councilwoman James?
Yeah, before I make my closing comments, I'll piggyback on what Councilman Gutierrez was saying. I do think because of the COVID and the way we went to, the process that we went to, things kind of turned around a little bit. I do think we need to make it easier for the public to make comments. I know that they use Slido and we have to wait until we get the Slido code, which we may get on Friday, we may get on Thursday, and then the residents may not even get it in time to make the comments. So I would suggest, and hopefully we can make it happen, where we actually have a email for comments where people can send in their comments, possibly public comments, and those public comments can be placed in the minutes, and then we can maybe have those public comments back at the top of the agenda, because we did when we were live and in person. You know, the public comments was at the top of the agenda. That was the first thing that we would see is the public comments. But I have gotten responses that it's not easy to make public comments. One, because the Slido is not available; they don't know what code to use, and the deadline is for them to put it in by noon on Monday. So, you know, maybe we can try to readjust that some kind of way? Maybe
Well, when we launch this website, maybe have a specific place where you can add it, maybe, I don't know. But I'm not opposed to the email. I definitely want to hear what the public has to say.
But my comment is, on Thursday is my neighborhood meeting, my Zoom virtual meeting. I typically have it on the third Thursday, but I had a schedule conflict last Thursday, so I pushed it to this Thursday. So if you want to tune in, it's on Zoom, and the meeting ID is 830-8346-5760, and then the password is James Ward 1, and that's all small letters. Or you can just reach out to me, and I'm not sure if my email address is going to be kjames@forestparkga.org or .gov. Okay, .gov. So send me an email. Hopefully by tomorrow I'll be able to get those emails.
You can get it today.
Okay, perfect. And again, thank you all for being a part of Forest Park and being a part of our audience. And if you're checking us back on our replay recording, thank you for doing that. But we are moving forward. Again, we're not going to always agree, but we're going to continue to move the city forward. So thank you for entrusting us to be your governing body.
Thank you. Councilman Antoine?
Yes, just wanna, I think I might be, I don't know. I wanna just thank everybody that made sure that they tune in. Last week, we had a major storm that didn't hit us as much, but going forward, like I've been saying, like this tree concerns that we have in the city, like we have a lot of trees that are covering our right-of-ways and homes, and that's a major concern that this city is
It's
gonna have to
expensive
look
too.
into, about how like trees could fall on people's homes. And I've been saying this years ago, Forest Park has too many trees in this city, and it just takes, a little hurricane or storm to fall on people's homes. Also wanna just let everybody know, tomorrow is the first day of fall, and I will be working with the Plain County Community Center for energy assistance. Because you know what fall brings, right? Cold. So that's your heating bills getting higher. I want to thank Ms. Harris for the new agenda that just came up. I think it's pretty cool. And that's pretty much it. But everybody knows how to get in contact with me.
Thank you for all the birthday wishes. I turned 41, and may God continue to bless you, and Dabu's Antoine loves you.
Thank you. Councilman Gutierrez?
First off, I guess I don't want to start with this, but happy late birthday, Councilman Antoine. I want to offer my public condolences to our former employer of the city, our former city manager, Ms. Redding. She had a loss in her family, so my condolences go to you. And you're in my prayers. I lost my father a few years ago, and it's hard. Also, my condolences to my sister right here, Councilwoman Wells, on her loss. I'm here for you, and I'm here for anybody. It's just I don't like to talk about stuff like that, but I get all mushy. So we had a cleanup at Macedonia Rock Springs at the cemetery on the other side of town with our Panthers in Action. I really didn't publicize it much. I wanted the students, our kids from here, to really take it in and really see the cemetery on that side of town. Historically a colored cemetery, and how it's been for some X reason just not taken care of. So that's going to be one of the things that hopefully I can fix in my term, and we can beautify that space and honor those that are not with us anymore. October, I have a busy month. I'm celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month here with our city. We approved some funding to host a festival, so October 10th will be our Hispanic Heritage Month Festival here in Forest Park. We're bringing some bands, some music, some giveaways, so I'm really excited to celebrate the Hispanic culture here in Forest Park, since we, it's a big part of our city. October 9th, the day before, my, I don't know if it's predecessor, SOL. Is it predecessor, the person before me? Yes. She had a food truck event, so I am borrowing that idea, but I'm rebranding it to a Food Truck Friday. Traditionally, it would be on the first Friday of every month, but we are fortunate enough to go on a retreat to, bond and really work on some goals for our city on the first weekend. So we will be moving it to the second Friday of the month, and we already have some strong truck commitments. There's a vegetarian truck that says a bad word in it, but they're coming out. I know they have a cult of following people. So also we'll be doing our tailgates. Big Georgia fan. Our Falcons are not at its best right now, but we still support them. We're faithful fans. So 10-3, the 3rd, we'll be having the first UGA Auburn game. The tailgate is 2 hours before the start of the game, so as a teacher, I'm going to let you do that math. On the 11th, we got the Falcons versus the I say Falcons and it just hurts. The Falcons versus the Panthers, and on the 17th, UGA versus Alabama. So no Alabama fans welcome. And just remain the social distancing. Really excited about our new hires, procurement, fire chief, and just everybody here. I'm very blessed to have the employees that we have, the governing body that we have. Like Councilwoman James said, we don't agree on everything, but we all want what's best for the city. And we're going to voice our opinions, and they might be different, but there's no hard feelings. We all want what's best for our city, and it's a true representation of what our city is and how diverse we are. So happy Hispanic Heritage Month to my people and to everybody celebrating the Hispanic culture. I am still teaching. Just update on my weight gain journey. I lost 20, then I gained 7 back. So I don't know. I got lost on the math as well. So I will keep y'all updated next meeting. Thank y'all very much. Y'all have my information as well. I haven't had my phone for about 3 or 4 days. InterDev is updating it. I think I need to reset my password. I don't know. But
It's done.
thank you, ma'am. So I got it getting going. So I'll get back at whoever contacted me. And that's it. Go Falcons.
Thank you, Councilwoman Wells.
Yeah. Practice.
Yes, I would like to thank everyone for being here, everyone listening in. Thank everyone that had anything to do with on Friday. It was a huge success. I think it was one of the biggest ones yet. We had the group 112 come out, the community out, people from everywhere, and it was really nice. So I thank everyone that was involved in that. I also want to thank you all for sending your condolences and praying for my family. And I appreciate you, Councilman Antoine, about the tree thing, because that's what killed my cousin. He had just celebrated his birthday right here in Star Park 2 weekends ago, and my aunt had been complaining about this tree forever, and that's what took my cousin's life. So I appreciate you all. Thank y'all. Please continue to pray for me and my family, because it's so hard. He just turned 30. He actually had the pleasure of working with Mike for a little while. He was supposed to take the bar exam this week. Won't get a chance to do that. So just please keep me and my family in your prayers. And thank you guys so much.
Councilman Mears?
Yes, ma'am. I think we had a real good session this time. We didn't have to bring the gloves out, anything like that. We've done pretty good. Maybe that's something that's coming up. We can keep DeBose praying. We might get something worked out here. I want to commend again the Public Works. I'm sorry for Ms. Wilson's loss. I want to congratulate the new fire chief. I got a lot I want to talk to you about. There's a lot of stuff on the table that I've talked to the city manager about as far as equipment for the fire department and different stuff. But I had several, due to the virus in my ward, people that took the midnight special, left town, and of course they had to come in there and take everything out and everything. The city was, I understand there's a 2-week grace period on stuff that's put on the street before the city can actually touch it. But as soon as that was done, they were on it, and that is a job if you've ever watched them clean up a mess like that. I had a house in my ward, right on the border of Morrow and Forest Park, that has been vacant for 2 years. Code's been out there on them anyway. It was growed up. You can't see the street, you can't see the house, but the city come out there and done a wonderful job cleaning the shrubbery, and cutting the grass, trees, bushes, and everything. It was just, I was real proud. Several people said something to me about it in my ward, and I told them that it was not me, that it was done out of the goodness or the responsibility of our public works. So I want to commend them, and I want to commend Chief Clark. We had some burnouts and spin outs and things in my ward, and mysteriously, because of intervention, that's gone away. Hadn't had any. Had anybody call me about doing the donuts and everything, so I appreciate that, Chief. Like I said, I think we had a good meeting, and I wish that, I hope that the mayor's foot gets better. She's got it wrapped up. She's got a sympathy walker in there, so we know what all that's about. But oh, there it is. We all need to sign that or put lights on it or something. But anyway, thank y'all very much.
Can I say one more thing? I'm
Yes.
sorry. I'm so sorry. Chief, I want to welcome you. Thank you so much for coming to the great city of Forest Park. I had the pleasure of being in the room when you were being interviewed, and your sense of humor is definitely needed here. So welcome, welcome, welcome. If there's anything that I can do for you, I'm always a phone call away. Thank you to our new procurement officer we've met. But I do want to thank you, and thank you, Mr. Barker, for bringing him. I feel like you are well needed, very much needed. So thank both of you. I hope that the city of Forest Park brings nothing but greatness to your lives. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. I do want to thank everyone for being present, and I want to echo the sentiment of my colleagues by welcoming you, Chief Horton, to the city. I know we have been experiencing some technical difficulties tonight, and I know that in the past there's been some issues with the sound quality, but our city manager is on that, and we have started the process. And Mr. Jeter, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're going to have to put it out for a bid to upgrade our sound system. And the answer is not simply purchasing new microphones, because the equipment is pretty outdated, that there aren't any additional microphones for the type of system that we have. And so that process will begin sooner than later. Immediately, thank you. So hopefully, so we know in the near future that we're going to have that problem rectified. And so thank everyone for bearing with us. And if that's it, is there a motion to recess the regular meeting and enter into an executive session for personnel, litigation, real estate, and legal matters?
So moved.
All right, second. All in favor? Aye. All in favor? Okay, now do it again, ma'am.
I make a motion that we end our executive session. Oh, time out.
There you go. I'm sorry.
I make a motion that we adjourn our executive
Next, I wanna keep talking.
and reconvene our regular meeting.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you.
We need some city Forest Park fans. Aye. We need Forest Park fans, Mayor, get on this.
Councilwoman Wells, before we actually adjourn.
Wow, just think, wow, you're just doing all the traitor stuff today. Judith.
Yes.
Good job, city manager, acquiring that piece of land. Let's go.
Okay, so Councilwoman Wells, these were purchased for you as a way of showing our condolences for your recent loss.
Thank you.
She's
Yes,
appreciative,
let's,
but we could have done better.
Oh, and there's cards
Hey,
too
we got too much
for
budget.
you.
Thank y'all so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay,
Thank y'all so much.
are they real?
They fake, I'm from Lucy.
They got bugs on them.
Colors, y'all can put them
Thank y'all so much.
Okay, so, with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you.
When we did that pay study, what did it say about council members?
Mike.
When we did that pay study, what did it say about us?